carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth. 93.7 The Ticket. This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
That's right. It is nuclear heat here on 93.7 The Ticket. Jumping in the line, as they say. We move up from our normal 9 o'clock time to 8 o'clock as of right now here in the capital city. Ricky taking the week off. He's not just at home listening to us. Actually, he might be listening to us, but he is busy this week. So he will be back next week, and we can get our happy on. Then we'll have some fun with some sports talk. And as of right now, some wrestling talk here on 93.7 The Ticket. Once again, I'm Jake Bockoven here alongside my tag team partner and nuclear heat contributor, Augie Pena. Augie, how's it going?
It's going good, man. We're doing this bright and early, during the middle of the day, it feels like. It's a good time, to be here. It's a very, very hot day, so it's nice to be in this air conditioning and talk about some wrestling.
That's right, and it was a big week in wrestling, not necessarily in the ring, but in the loss of an icon in Hulk Hogan. And very, very interesting reaction, not just from the WWE universe, as they call it, but social media and just everything. I mean, even Cody, when he went into the ring, called it, called Hulk Hogan's legacy complicated, which it certainly is. And if you can kind of get into the side conversation, there's a whole different level of what Hulk Hogan was outside the ring. But what he was as a WWE superstar was obviously iconic in the biggest way. I mean, I still consider him the greatest wrestler of all time, because he kind of really raised the level of what wrestling was in the 80s to kind of mainstream wrestling at that time, and then even into the 90s with his heel turn and jumping to the WCW and NWO. So there was he just had some iconic moments, obviously slamming Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, main eventing WrestleMania 1, just all sorts of iconic moments in the ring. And then his character obviously got more famous outside the ring in the movie appearances in Rocky, had some other ones. He didn't quite become the hit that we've seen maybe The Rock or John Cena become in Hollywood. So that might not have worked. But again, you kind of go back to just in general. I don't know if these days, if you'd say the biggest stars, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, I think those are guys that are wrestling famous. Like wrestling fans know who they are. Hulk Hogan, again, was so popular at a time that he helped the business take off, that he was not just past wrestling famous and mainstream famous. It was worldwide, and he had a unique look that obviously you could anybody in the world, I wouldn't say anybody, but most people in the world would identify him and say, I know who that is. That's Hulk Hogan, especially if you saw him live. So again, you rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, and hopefully thoughts and prayers to all his family members and all that, because it's been a tough week, and it really opened up the door for a lot of kind of talk about, kind of when things maybe have turned for public perception on him, and then you kind of get into the conversations of, did he do enough to justify that? His latest WWE appearance did not appear so from the fans' reaction, as they tried to, I shouldn't say tried to, they booed him basically off the stage. And it was funny because he turned to Jimmy Hart and said, man, you really got some heat on there. So, he kind of took it all in stride, and you do that as a wrestler. You kind of know the ups and downs. You're used to the heat, I suppose, at times. But he had some real life heat on him due to some things and statements he had said in the past. And then, of course, recently, kind of getting involved in politics again to a degree. So it was just a complicated reaction, I think, for a lot of us, but for just true wrestling fans, again, I say this throughout the week, is that we throw the word like icon around too much. We throw certain words around too much. And even in wrestling, where Sting is known as the icon Sting, and I think he is an icon in wrestling circles. But again, Hulk Hogan kind of is an icon beyond wrestling circles, and that's why, I mean, he's unanimous. What you think? I think when you first think of a pro wrestler, Hulk Hogan might come to your mind.
Yeah, I mean, he's the pioneer. Regardless of everything that's been going on, when I saw the news, that he passed on Thursday, heart shattered. Still, regardless, because as a kid growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, there watching WWE, he'd have those appearances, WCW, the toys, everything there. His brother, I mean, everybody goes around saying, I said that about a million times on Thursday, and I'm not, like you said, just kind of the way everything ended for him, wasn't the biggest Hogan fan towards the end, but you can't deny, it's essentially like Mr. McMahon, those two built, them, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, like those guys built the WWE into what it is today. They set the stepping stones for these, the foundation for these wrestlers to be able to do what they do today. So regardless, like you said, of, kind of everything that was going on, how he kind of ended things, just in there. I mean, he was huge, without him, this isn't here. And like, you hit the nail, there when you said you show them a picture of who Hulk Hogan is, anybody, they probably know who that is. And that's very rare to do with these days on there. And, the fact that we saw him last year, I think was incredible too, through everything and all that, when he was here in his appearance in Lincoln on there, like you said, may he rest in peace, and, his legacy will live on. It will, they'll, there's videos of it. I specifically remember him hulking out, essentially selling people's finishers. And that's something there. People said he was very difficult to work with at times, but I mean, when you're the guy, that's kind of what you do there. So, but like I said, it's still sad. There had been rumors for a while that he wasn't doing so well. And then when you hear he passed, you're like, dang, that stinks on there. But, they did a nice little quick tribute to him on SmackDown on there. And so, that'll just kind of be what it is there.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. You kind of think about the Hulkamaniacs and, eat your prayers and vitamins, and or say your prayers and eat your vitamins and all that. I mean, he just had so many sayings. Like you said, hulking out, I always liked his, when he was down for the count and they'll hold his hand up 3 times. They do it twice, just fall to the ground 3rd time. Miraculously kind of gets some movement going there. So he was just a lot of fun, especially in the ring. And then, his battles that he had again with Andre the Giant or Macho Man, or just kind of the Ultimate Warrior, different guys over the years really helped put some of those guys over. Again, maybe not so much by his decision, because he does have, stories about trying to deny unions and stuff like that. And so again, it's just kind of interesting. And he, more so than any, again, rose to the star of ultimate star status. And people kind of wondered in the early 2000s, at some point, Vince McMahon kind of did a shift in how he viewed his superstars, because he had seen Hulk Hogan go so far up that the WCW, he built such a big star that WCW was able to profit off of him and use him in his likeness and all that. And then he built The Rock up to what he was. And so Vince McMahon at some point said, I don't want to build my stars so far up that they can leave and it can hurt my company. And so, I mean, he, again, is just, I think there's a ceiling that guys like he and The Rock had that I don't even know if wrestlers would have today. Now, Vince obviously not in charge anymore. But I don't know if they kind of carry that same philosophy over. So a lot of things to discuss there. Like you said, a 10-bell salute for him to start off SmackDown. Jimmy Hart again crying on stage. As we say, it's complicated. Other wrestlers didn't necessarily feel like they wouldn't necessarily look like they wanted to be there. So just an interesting situation altogether. But as far as wrestling, they sure lost an icon. Let's go ahead and jump into the programming. So once again, this happened between Raw and SmackDown. We're going to start with Raw and then go to SmackDown. We'll probably talk briefly about the 10-bell salute again once we get to SmackDown. But on WWE Raw this week was an interesting one. They opened up with CM Punk. Of course, CM Punk had won the gauntlet match the previous week, including outlasting Braun Breaker. And so he's got a chance to beat Gunther at SummerSlam, or at least to meet Gunther at SummerSlam. And this promo was interesting because it was more CM Punk kind of telling the story of him ultimately wanting to win the top belt in WWE, at least one of the 2 top belts in WWE, and less so much focused on Gunther, his opponent. Now, Gunther came out, and I think he is very underrated for just the believability of his trash talk when he starts talking you down. I always love it. I think he's a really good promo in that aspect of kind of getting heat, and the crowd certainly was kind of catching on and booing him when he first came out. Ultimately, we didn't get any punches. Sometimes, I mean, maybe we'll see that this week. But did enough to kind of move things along and kind of reintroduce and remind you here at SummerSlam, CM Punk and Gunther. And, we'll go over the SummerSlam card here in a little bit. We spent all last week kind of praising it because, they really put a good show together. Throwing in a few ones here and there that I'm not too excited about here this week. But Punk and Gunther is definitely one I'm interested in because it's one that they teased before, didn't quite get to, and was interested then. And so they kind of laid the foundation for it in the past, and now it's just a fresh matchup. We haven't seen these guys go after each other.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is, we always kind of complain, or not complain, but we criticize the fact that, it's always the same matchup. So just these 2 guys who are, at the top of their game right now, that they're able to do that. It's great. It's fun. This is a match I'm really looking forward to on there. And, while they don't have, I would say, as much of like a personal beef, that you would love to see, it is still nice because, like you said, CM Punk has been back now for almost 2 years and he hasn't won a title yet. So, a world title, and it's been about 12 years since, I think 11 years since he's won one. So that's pretty fun on there. And then there's still the possibility, that, the interference, just kind of all the storylines that are coming in. You still got the guy who's injured out there on the side. You got other people that are gonna, I think, get in the mix of this. But if they could just give us a solid like 5-10 minutes of just CM Punk versus Gunther before that happens, I think that could be, it could be the match of SummerSlam.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is on Saturday, and so when you look at those things, sometimes you think the big, well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say some of the big matches are on Sunday, but sometimes the Saturday matches, if that's the go home or kind of the main event, anything can happen. I remember, I think this last year WrestleMania, even though John Cena won the most world titles of anybody, it was supposed to be kind of that big moment. I think the bigger or more lasting kind of memory is going to be the Paul Heyman turn on the Saturday night opportunity there. So again, they have a 2-night here in SummerSlam, and this one is going to be on Saturday. I can't wait to look. I'm looking forward to it. And you never know. Gunther is a guy that they kind of keep going back to that stat that 80% of the time he's been on the roster, he's been a WWE champion. So I think they're going to want kind of a long run here from him, possibly going into WrestleMania and losing again. I don't know if they're going to kind of repeat that and really make it a problem for him to defend at WrestleMania. He's lost now 2 years in a row with the belt, but he's a good guy, a good evil heel to hold the belt that you can kind of cheer against him. And I just think there's more out of, like we always say, chasing a championship. I think there's more they can kind of do with CM Punk with that, because they kind of do that with his story, right? That's kind of his story right now. Yeah. But they could I think more involve that into kind of the story and make it a little bit more believable. Obviously, when he went against Cena, it didn't feel like he was going to have an opportunity to really come out of that one. This one, obviously, more of an opportunity. But I would almost hold off. And yes, I'm big of a Gunther fan, so maybe that's part of it too. But I would hold off because I think it would make us want his title, CM Punk's title, when he does get it, a little bit more and kind of make that adventure a little more exciting.
I mean, I think, the way they had it, planned before everything, you kind of had it set up for perfection before Seth Rollins' injury, because it could have been Seth Rollins cashed in. And then, as you said, CM Punk may not get it, but then you had the opportunity for that. But now, you just don't know with that, with that injury. And I may have missed it if they had an update on it on Monday or Tuesday there with Seth Rollins' injury. But yeah, no, I'm kind of with you. I would like to see CM Punk win, because I am, it'd be fun. I was actually going to be fine if he would beat John Cena. That's kind of how it was there. But you're right, Gunther. I think he's I think his title defense for a little bit kind of got very stale. So people kind of lost some hope in him. But I mean, we kind of talk about he's like what, 6'3", 6'2", something like that. He's built. He's very strong. He's really good at wrestling. He's getting a lot better at his promos. His trash talking is getting a lot better. So that's always fun to see there. And you kind of hope, maybe they'll go past it. I don't want him to lose at WrestleMania again because they're kind of doing like a flip side of other things they've done. He's essentially been unbeatable, except for a couple occasions. But on the biggest stage of all, he can't win. I don't know. For me, that'd make it a little bit hard to root for. I mean, I'd root for him more, but I don't know. That just I don't know how to explain it. I don't want that to happen on there. So if he does carry the title to WrestleMania, you got to give him that win there too sometime.
Yeah, it's always fun to kind of figure out what their timeline's on and what they're thinking, because if they have him lose here at SummerSlam, then you just put the belt on him right away, one time to get the push over Goldberg.
Yeah.
And then what does he really get out of beating Goldberg? And, just because it's a better final match for Goldberg than Jey Uso? I mean, I see it.
Yeah.
But, you just kind of wonder if he should get that push from it. He should be elevated now that he beat Goldberg. And I don't know if they would want that to make it like a 2.5 week thing, as these premium live events or your kind of big event matches are just kind of coming back to back and strip that honor of him right away. So we'll see what they do. Obviously, like you said, the Seth Rollins cash in kind of to that point too. That's kind of what I was talking about with the CM Punk storytelling, is there's just so much they can do.
Yeah.
And him and Seth, they have had a story of since CM Punk has come back that Seth said, you're not going to win that title as long as I'm around. Now, maybe you could play more into that. If Seth's not around, he wins the title, then Seth comes back and challenges. So we'll see a lot of different ways to go here. I would not be upset about any three of those guys coming out of SummerSlam, the champion. And that's what makes it so intriguing and fun. Let's get into the next matchup here. Sheamus and Rusev. Rusev eventually, he got the first win. This is kind of round 2, if you will, of the former group mates. Rusev exposed a turnbuckle late in this one. He ended up paying for it. That's how he kind of won the first matchup here. But Sheamus was able to reverse that on him and then brogue kick him for the win. So Sheamus finally beats Rusev. Hadn't done that in his career yet, but now they're tied at 1-1 for the recent kind of matchups. And here we are. So it's a great match. I think these guys are two obviously veterans. They look the part. I had a lot of fun again with this match. So it's one of those things, like if that's going to be your first match of the night, I think you can kind of get people into it. And I'd rather see game 3 between Sheamus and Rusev than I think Sammy Cross and Karrion Kross at SummerSlam. So we'll see. I don't think that this is going to be elevated to that. Maybe it will. Maybe there's some more stakes out there, but we might see round 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I thought this is fun. These are two guys that are great at wrestling. They're powerhouse. This is what the wrestling we kind of grew up on, right? It's big guys. We're not big guys, but the fact that you could see them going at it, and they're so technical at what they do, and their moves just look legitimate. They don't mess up a lot. They got great chemistry. So yeah, it's fun. And hey, we saw Andrade and Carmelo Hayes go to Game 7. If you were to ask me between them and Rusev and Sheamus, who I'd rather see go Game 7, 7 matches there, I think I could live with the Sheamus and Rusev thing. And then they could, I don't know, tease us, turn them into a tag team, one of those things where you get the respect on there, all that stuff, or, just end it and then they go the separate ways.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I wonder, when they bring guys back and they brought Andrade back, you mentioned him, and we talk about a lot of these guys, and Naomi, when they bring him back, they don't necessarily have a plan for him, just kind of pop them in here, pop them in there. And that's where I feel like there are with Rusev. I think they need to kind of try to channel some interest. I mean, maybe he just became available and they're like, all right, let's jump at the opportunity. But I really liked Rusev's first run. Maybe that was, Lana, the whole character, the battle against America and John Cena and all that really kind of made him a pretty good villain. Then we got into kind of the Rusev Day stuff. This character that they have him on right now, I think looks like it has potential. I like kind of the entrance, and he looks like a monster leading into it, but and I know he's kind of got this deal where he's just going after everybody in the locker room, but I just feel like he needs a little bit more of an angle here. And so maybe something here with Sheamus can lead to that.
Yeah. And, speaking of his ex-wife, I don't know if they're together again, Lana, she's kind of been around, if you follow wrestlers on social media and things like that, I think that'd be fun to bring her back.
Absolutely.
And maybe not even have her have that Bulgarian accent, that she doesn't have in real life, but just bring her back as his manager again. That's perfect. Because there's some guys that just need that mouthpiece. And I think Rusev is one of those. And hey, you turn him into a silent assassin again and have his ex-wife now. I don't know what they are, but Lana, partner. They're talking again. Oh, I think you got something again.
I think you could. I mean, I think you could basically have what is going wrong with Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
Yep.
If you push them the right way, they could definitely have that. And you've got, like you said, at least some success to look back at in some memorable moments with both Lana and Rusev as a pairing, like we're saying. So yeah, I think that would be good. I think that would definitely be something I'd like to see. Let's get into the next match. Here was the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus, against LWO of Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde and the New Day. As we previewed this match, I saw it on social media last week, and I couldn't even think LWO was in the match. I thought it was somebody else. So I really did not even believe they had a chance in this match. But they ultimately win it. Dragon Lee and El Grande Americano got involved. And, of course, El Grande Americano is shape-shifting as of recently. So I thought that kind of overshadowed the match a little bit more. If we're going to try to take LWO seriously, but they did earn a shot at Judgment Day in the tag titles here. But remember, Judgment Day did just get this. So this really, to me, is lining up for, okay, let's get some competition they can knock out of the way, and then we'll get to a feud.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. As much as, LWO, we talked about it. They were one of the highest selling merches, group, like about 2 years ago. They've just dropped the ball with them, after Rey Mysterio kind of been hurt in and out. Without Rey, it just doesn't work. He has to be one of the guys. And I know they're trying to elevate it, but yeah, I was very surprised too. They're probably number 3, out of that group. And then they come out the win. You're like, okay, you're like, the Judgment Day are going to retain, which is great, because we love the JD McDonough, Finn Balor, match that or a pairing there. We've talked, we want them to be champions and just anything the Judgment Day is involved with. So yeah, that's why I'm saying, give them somebody, like you said, that they can kind of retain against, even the New Day again. And then you maybe pair like I said, a Sheamus or a Rusev, 2 guys like that. And then that's their first real competition they'd have. Yeah.
Let's see. It'll be exciting. But I don't know again, where this LW Judgment Day matchup will land. Probably, maybe on this week's episode of Raw or here down the line. It's kind of interesting as New Day is kind of, trying to figure out what's going on with them. Obviously one of the best tag team titles, our tag team teams of all time. Grayson Waller was trying to basically join New Day in the back and buried Austin Theory, which was kind of interesting, as A-Town Down Under has been a pretty good group, I think, over the last couple of years in the tag team division. Lots to kind of question there. I mean, they teased Grayson Waller and Austin Theory breaking up for probably a year and a half now. So they've had tension in the group. I don't think they do all that unless Theory's like out for 9 months or something, which I don't know kind of what's going on there. I would say this was not the way that I would break them up. So hopefully they've got better plans. Austin Theory will come back. He can kind of get a breakup there. But maybe, Grayson Waller with New Day could be around the corner as well.
I don't know. I was really confused when he started showing up with them too. I think it's been a couple weeks now, right? Like 2-3 weeks, right?
Yeah. It's been kind of palling around.
Yeah. Of him being there with him. And I was one of those few. They weren't great, but I liked A-Town Down Under. You like that comedy bad group, Grayson Waller's got that accent. Austin Theory's got, everything for him. It's just not working for some reason, on there. And yeah, they were building up that feud. I mean, he was feeding him to Sheamus, on his return, things like that. And then, yeah, I have a theory, there, but yeah, it's got to be Austin Theory's going to come back and then they'll start a feud there. Cause that could be somewhat interesting, not main event, obviously, but a fun little mid-card feud that they could have.
Yeah. I really hope they go to that because that was what I thought of immediately. It's like, man, I was looking forward to their breakup. Yeah. Not necessarily that I wanted them to break up, but just that I think it would be entertaining when they do. Yeah. So hopefully nothing going on with Austin that will prevent that from happening. All right, let's take a quick break. We've got the second half of Raw to get to, as well as SmackDown, and we'll talk a little bit of SummerSlam and the matchups coming up there. We'll do that all next year on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. We are back on Nuclear Heat talking some WWE wrestling here on a Sunday night. What better place to be than Lincoln, Nebraska, and talking some wrestling. I'm Jake Bachman alongside Augie Pena as we go through the second half of Monday Night Raw from this previous week. Of course, Monday Night Raw will be back tomorrow night as well. Let's jump into the next segment. We just kind of talked about how LWO won an opportunity to face the Judgment Day for the tag team titles here in upcoming programming. Then we kind of had the women's Intercontinental title belt highlighted here. Becky Lynch, of course, the champion, calls out Lyra Valkyria and set up, and between the two of them, they kind of came out and started arguing with each other. Ended up setting up a no count out, no disqualification match at SummerSlam between the two of them. Valkyria also had to agree with that stipulation that she cannot challenge for the IC title if she loses it while Becky Lynch is champion. So that's kind of interesting. Before we got out of there, Becky Lynch demanded a handshake and then tried to attack, and Lyra Valkyria manhandle slammed her to finish out the segment. So we've kind of been, I mean, we're all over the board with kind of Lyra Valkyria. I know that. But where's your kind of feelings on the latest chapter of Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch at this point?
So I'm very excited for the match and the stipulation. I think that's amazing, right? Like, come on, they can both showcase it. But I hate when they give away how it's going to end with saying, if I win, you can't challenge again. We obviously know now, I'm kind of, send it to the bank, stamp it. Lyra's going to win because of that statement. Like, that's the kind of stuff, like, hold off on, yes, Becky has won twice essentially in the matchup. I know she pinned Bailey in there, but you gave it away. But they could swerve us, and I mean, had Becky win a third time, but then that just buries Lyra, and I think there's no way to come back for that. So Lyra's got to win in order to be able to keep climbing this this ladder that she has there. But I'm excited for the match. I think it could be a lot of fun. Especially, I love these type of stipulation matches. I'm all for.
Yeah. We know they're going to put on quite a show at SummerSlam, and that will be fun. Kind of interesting because the way that they kind of transitioned this, I wasn't a big fan of, is that then they brought Bayley out to team with Lyra Valkyria, who get another chance at the tag team championship where they had at WrestleMania, but they didn't like promote it. They didn't really like, it wasn't, this was supposed to be basically a WrestleMania match, and they're giving it to you here now finally, and they didn't promote it. They didn't really set it up. They just kind of threw it out there. And Valkyria, already, brand new to the company, has already been Lyra 2 belts, if you will, if for a brief time, but at least, for a day she had done that. And that's a very rarefied air to be in that to begin with. And then they just kind of didn't even like mention it or make it a big deal that it might happen again if she was going to beat the Judgment Day here with Bayley. Now, I think this match was kind of conveniently kind of fit in that they could move Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch in here, because Becky Lynch would end up attacking Lyra Valkyria and kind of costing her the match. So they kind of put more heat on it. And this match was more about Bayley and the frustration and going after championships. And you can kind of feel a heel turn coming her way, which could happen at that Lynch and Valkyria match at SummerSlam. So that's something to look out for. But just didn't love even the setup for that. Why would the IC title holder be be literally talking about the IC title and then have a match for the tag team? I mean, and especially when I think the tag team division right now is with Judgment Day feels like it's in good hands. Yeah. And then you kind of throw Alexa Bliss and Charlotte on the other side, on SmackDown. Just felt like sometimes this is one of those deals. We've twice, I think, had the tag team champions walk out on the company of the WWE for the way that they've handled the belts. This is part of the reason why.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. It's one of those, Bayley and Lyra just had beef, over this.
Yeah.
And everything there. And then you just, like you said, no promotion, no anything like that. You just go in and, the tag team title or the tag team division is better, but I think on SmackDown it's a little bit better because you got the star power of Charlotte and Alexa. On this side, you do have the Kabuki Warriors, but I think they're 0-2 since they've come back. They haven't really done much. So they're trying something. So, it kind of in that first part, I said, Lyra's going to win. If she doesn't, her and Bayley could maybe she turns heel. Maybe that's something that helps her, and her and Bayley can go after those titles. I don't know, but I agree with you. It's kind of sloppy, just like lazy writing. Just, Lyra, we like her, so we're gonna slide her in here with Bayley, and let's have them have a championship match here.
Yeah, and the match was fine. I mean, I thought they did a good job, and I thought the Judgment Day was gonna win all along, except for that one part of me that said they really do love Lyra Valkyria. Yeah. So maybe that was not going to happen, and it was fun enough. I mean, there's a Dom appearance, an AJ Style appearance, which they've kind of done a good job, I think, with that heating it up. But again, like I said, Becky ends up attacking Valkyria, and then Rodriguez hits the Tejada bomb for the win, and so the Judgment Day preserves that championship. And it's another kind of like another notch to put on the belt for the Judgment Day as far as the defending their titles, so you can appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was a little confused because didn't they already announce that it is Charlotte and Alexa versus the Judgment Day at SummerSlam? It wasn't that like a set in stone match, and then you just and I get it can pivot, but it was something they've already been promoting, because Charlotte or Raquel and Roxanne have already kind of been interacting with Charlotte and Alexa, and then you just that's why I was like, it's not going to happen because you've been promoting that. You can't just flip it because then you see kind of a little bit of the backlash you get. I mean, it was an excellent match, but the Rhea and Io, where it's kind of Rhea was a champion, and then on a random Monday they have that match and have her lose, and everybody's confused with it. So I mean, they could have had a triple threat, but I was just a little confused. I was like, they've already announced this, and they have them defending a week and a half before. I was like, there's no way they lose there.
Who do you think loses their belts from the Judgment Day first? That's the big question.
I mean, this is tough. This is tough. I think it's going to be Dom. Because for storyline purposes, I don't think Raquel and Roxanne can lose them. Or if they lose them, they got to win them back right away, just like the Liv storyline.
Right.
And there's just, if the Judgment Day lose to LWO, for those tag team championships, that we got to have a serious conversation about, where Finn Balor stands with them, because there's no reason they should be losing there. And hey, AJ Styles and Dom has kind of been going on for a while. I love having him having him as a champion, but I see him possibly losing it to AJ Styles.
I could see that as well. So interesting times ahead here. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross, we got round 2 between them as well. Ultimately, Scarlett Bordeaux hands Kross a lead pipe, which he uses as the ref is distracted, and helps him get the win over Sami Zayn. So now we need a match number 3 between the two of them, which was announced for SummerSlam on SmackDown. And again, I have to admit, I wasn't very excited about it. It's just because of the damage they've done to Karrion Kross over the years. We talk about it all the time, so we don't need to kind of go back and get back to that. But I'll say this is that if Karrion Kross can win at SummerSlam and they give him finally a feud, maybe I'll be interested. But I'm not holding my breath because I have a 98% know that Sami Zayn's going to win this one, and I don't it's not one of those things like I'm just going to be off the wall. If you set it up so much that an upset win would make it more entertaining or more exciting for him to win. It's not like I'm going to be doing cartwheels and just so excited if Karrion Kross finally wins and finally think, hey, maybe they finally see something in him. It's just kind of like, man, he just never wins any feuds.
Yeah.
And here he is again. And Sami Zayn's kind of the guy they protect Sami pretty well. And they kind of put him in these situations of he's their ultimate good guy now having to deal with a menacing bad guy. And this is just not where I feel like Sami's going to lose a feud.
No. And that's kind of the disappointing thing, because we were talking how we started maybe liking Karrion Kross's character a little bit, funny. He's starting to really be that guy. And then you was it Night of Champions? Night of Champions. Yeah. You have him lose to Sami Zayn like that, and it's like okay, we thought, okay, that's done. Go again. Okay, he beats him, but he has to use the lead pipe, of course. It just doesn't feel like he's gonna win this feud here. And man, they kind of had Karrion going on the right path, and then you put him against the fan favorite Sami Zayn. That, as you said, that's not a good thing. They needed to put him against somebody else. I think somebody maybe with a bigger name. I know Sami's got a huge name, but we kind of talk about it. He's always that underdog. You could have put him in an Intercontinental Championship match, something like that, but they chose Sami Zayn, and I just don't see it. And then that's just more damage done to Karrion Kross. And I mean, how much more can you bury a guy?
Right.
You shaved his head, put him in a mask, and have you fired him, brought him back, and had him lose every single feud. I just don't know what else you can do with him if he doesn't win this one.
Yeah. I mean, those bring back the Final Testament.
Oh my God. He and his wife, they're still they're the last two standing of those. I don't know, man. It's got to be rough. I mean, he's probably making a lot of money. He gets to work with his wife. He still gets to live his dream. But, that'd be like if we were to have been professional athletes. Yeah, we're making a lot of money, but we're on, the Charlotte Hornets or, or the Cleveland Browns. You know what I mean? Right, you're losing. No offense to those fan bases there, if there are any
Eagles
out there.
Fan over here, by the way.
Okay. All right. Celtics fan. So, we're both there. But, there's got to be at some point you're like, man, money's great, but this isn't what I thought.
I wonder if AEW or a different promotion would have him, do better with him. Again, he's getting screen time. They like part of what he does, and again, sometimes they think of it from the wrestling fans' point of view that's watching it for the last several years, and then sometimes it's just he's just kind of their live show. Hey, here's menacing bad guy and really plays that well, and he always gets a reaction, and so we can always at least get the live crowd to get see the bad guy get his comeuppance every week.
I mean if I were him, because WWE partners with TNA, make him move over there, make him do something with TNA. I mean, build him back up, and then see, kind of run, do it with that one, with that crowd fan base over there, and then if it's good, bring him back. If not, then maybe it's time to go to another promotion.
But again, I mean, he's so far beaten up now. His character is that. What does a Sami Zayn win for him do at SummerSlam? It's the popcorn match. I gotta say it. It's the match that I care less about. I don't necessarily know if I'd want to watch it tomorrow night on Raw, but it's gonna be at SummerSlam.
I mean, there's one match I'm still putting at my popcorn match,
okay.
So this one's still above it.
Okay.
When you have Jelly Roll on the card, I'm still gonna say he has the popcorn match.
Yeah, I suppose we better move through things so we can get to Jelly Roll. Dominic Mysterio attacked AJ Styles backstage. So lets you know that he is fully healthy and ready to go. We kind of talked about that match already. So we will see. Then we had Stephanie McCourt versus Io Sky. Very exciting new match, right? That they set up on the night of Raw. Ultimately, Secret Harvest disrupts this great match, and Chelsea Green joins them. The faces eventually get the upper hand till Naomi attacks Sky for some reason, and then Rhea Ripley comes out and evens the odds. So I've seen tomorrow night, I think they've already got the Secret Harvest, Chelsea Green in Naomi against Stephanie McCourt, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley. And I missed somebody there. There's a lot of people here. So in general, good guys versus bad guys in the women's division here. And I've always kind of had this problem, is that the one problem is the Secret Harvest, and I'm a big Chelsea Green fan. Yeah. They did this with The Miz when he had a few guys by his side. Should I have to think back on that?
Was that Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel?
And Curtis Axel, that's right. And then they put them against Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, the Shield, and it was just kind of like, yeah, it's 3-on-3, but even the Miz isn't a threat to one of these three guys. How can the other two be? And that's kind of where you are here with this group. So we'll kind of see what they do with it. But like I said, we better move along quickly. Roman Reigns promo after Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed come out. They all make their way to the ring, eventually start attacking Roman. But Jey Uso makes the save to close out the show. So again, many people feel like it's going to be here. And I think they promoted on SmackDown, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed at SummerSlam.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fun. I thought Roman's promo, I thought that was a lot of fun. Yeah. He's gotten so much better. Man, I hope they bring him back, for being a little bit more of a full-time. You don't realize how much you miss wrestlers until they're gone. And I think that's fun. I'd be excited for this, to see it on there. I don't think it'd be great for Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, but anytime Roman Reigns is involved, I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and early prediction would be that Roman and Jey Uso do get the win there, because I don't think, like you said, Bronson Breaker and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, I think, can afford a loss here.
Yeah,
I think Jey Uso and I think Roman Reigns and his return could afford a little bit of a boost up. Not that they need it, but I just don't. That's how I see it.
Or you pin Roman Reigns. If
Breaker pin,
if Breaker pins him, that I think that elevates him into that world champ. If Seth Rollins is injured, there's always that.
Yeah.
If he pins him, hey, he's a guy that can be elevated up there now.
Not wrong there. So some exciting stuff to watch in that matchup. We'll take a quick break. We'll talk about SmackDown and Jelly Roll coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete in Lincoln. With 3 plants across the city, there are plenty of opportunities to start or grow your driving career. They offer great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Since 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with ready-mixed concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back to talk more wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket, specifically SmackDown. As we started at the beginning of the show, SmackDown did the same thing as far as kind of saluting Hulk Hogan. They did the 10 bell salute for Hulk Hogan to start the show. Impulsive TV opened up the actual wrestling show with Logan Paul coming out and running down his hometown of Cleveland, which I always think is kind of an interesting thing they have to do. They've had Miz do that before. But it's just kind of interesting to turn the hometown guy who usually is going to get the hero's reception into the enemy. And it was very interesting because they were saying, the crowd was cheering for Hogan, and he kind of turned that into, I just heard you cheering for Logan. So I don't know if that was something he came up with or if WWE would go with it. But as we know, with in the past, WWE kind of with deaths dances that line. I think it's somewhat. Some people find it in poor taste. I think sometimes it's out of respect even to the wrestlers because it's kind of cool. I would say if I was, a wrestler that passed away to be, in some way memorials are part of the story in some way or the other. So I don't know. Some people get offended by that. I wasn't necessarily, though it did surprise me that he said it. In any case, he invites Jelly Roll out to be his guest. They go back and forth for a while. Before McIntyre slides in the ring and they starting to threat Jelly Roll. And then Jelly Roll starts singing Randy Orton's music and he comes out. Apparently that's how you get Randy Orton to come out to even the odds. And then they kind of proceeded to have a little bit of in-ring action. So we saw a little bit of action from Jelly Roll here. And how did you feel did you feel that?
He's going to have his little moment, in SummerSlam. They're going to use him for 5 moves, something like that. Randy Orton's going to have to carry. I thought, at first his choke slams looked okay, all that stuff he performed, but
once they get into some of these other moves, he just kind of laid his shoulder in, sold some moves. Logan was doing most of the work as far as trying to sell anything. It did not look great. And it reminds you that a lot of these, while we do have Logan Paul and Bad Bunny and some people that just naturally take to the ring, most people can't go in there and look like a wrestler, even if they work at the Performance Center for a while. I think at least it was that maybe it was an experiment just to kind of see how much they can throw at him.
Yeah.
And from that return, I would say not much.
Yeah. No. No, they're not gonna. No, like I said, it's gonna be the other three on there. This is, I hate to say it, with Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and Randy Orton in the match, but this is my popcorn match.
This is your popcorn match where you go get popcorn.
Yep.
Fair enough. I can understand that. And again, with Jelly Roll's inexperience, if you will, here, I think they've at least surrounded him with three guys that can carry a majority of the match and make that fun there. But man, it even like a part of it too is Jelly Roll just kind of looks big. He's slimmed down, obviously. But one thing that didn't work, I think, is that Logan Paul in the ring, Logan Paul's taller than him.
Yep.
So it just kind of is like, and he doesn't even look big once Logan Paul gets in the ring and they match up. And Logan's has been such a good wrestler, and he's just going down to some very easy, non-convincing shots and moves from Jelly Roll. So kudos to him for, always, he brought Patrick Mahomes to Raw.
Yeah.
Once. I mean, he can get the stars involved, and now is selling. So this whole thing's kind of funny because he said that, stars just come in here and get everything. That's part of his whole thing, which people complained about him for. And now he, kind of like the Miz over time, slowly he starts to feel like more part of the locker than outside the locker.
Yeah, he does. And, good for Logan Paul trying to rebuild his image, I guess I would say, in there. But yeah, he's a fantastic athlete. You can't, he's a great wrestler. He's somebody that, had, outside stuff aside, just in ring, you'd say, hey, he's ready for world championship materials type of stuff. And he's going, he's in the ring with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, who are former, and then there's Jelly Roll in there. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how they do this because Logan Paul is a high flyer. He does a lot of risk. I think he's like 27, 26, something like that. Still very young on there. And then Randy Orton, obviously is Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. They're kind of the ground and pound. And then you got Jelly Roll. So we'll see what type of match this turns into and kind of how that goes.
So far, I can tell you're not a big fan of Jelly Roll.
No,
Jelly Roll or Travis Scott? Who's your favorite?
I'd have to go Jelly Roll there. I think Travis Scott has kind of ruined it with the ruining WrestleMania. Kind of just being there too much. His entrances have been phenomenal. With Jey Uso, the Fiend, the whole thing. That's been fun. But yeah, I know and then having his own belt, like, come on, man, just come on.
Yeah. Hasn't worked out well. Rumors are recently that Travis Scott and WWE aren't necessarily getting along either, but I don't think that'll hurt WWE fans too much. Alexa Bliss then took on Roxanne Perez. Charlotte Flair and Raquel Rodriguez were at ringside. Flair and Raquel Rodriguez began fighting at ringside, and Alexa Bliss hit them with a twisted bliss, trying to take out Raquel Rodriguez. Seemed to have busted up her nose with that, I believe. But anyway, she got back into the ring. Perez rolled her up for the win. And this was probably something that needs to happen again to elevate Roxanne Perez. Can kind of win the dirty way, right, as the heel to a degree. But to try to elevate her when you're going up against Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, the star power there, I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, that was good. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
there
go
if
ahead.
I did. No, I thought that was great. Just get a win, like you said. Get a singles win over Alexa Bliss. That's huge.
Yeah. We got to go through it quick here as we finish out the show, but luckily SmackDown didn't provide us with too much this week. Chelsea Green versus Jade Cargill. Love Chelsea Green as usual. They find unique ways to kind of get her in trouble. She was trash talking in the back. They used the camera to watch Jade Cargill drag her into it. This was pretty much a squash match that, again, the Secret Harvest got involved in after Cargill got the win. Tiffany Stratton, of all people, makes the save, and she might be the one I was kind of forgetting from the other day.
Yeah.
And then Jade Cargill holds up the championship belt. The only problem with this is that it makes zero sense for Tiffany Stratton to go and save Jade Cargill other than to get the stare down.
Yeah, this is a face versus face. This is kind of where you run into that issue of a face versus face. They're trying to be friends. This is a matchup we've been wanting to see for a long time, and they're kind of going about it, I think, the wrong way.
I still look forward to. I mean, I think it's just the in-ring and the look, the promotion for Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill looks good. But yeah, you kind of wish there was maybe more heat between them, or a clear good guy, bad guy type of thing here. But in any case, Jacob Fatu then took on The Miz. The Miz was upset that Fatu put him out for 6 weeks and even slapped him in the back. So that was kind of interesting. And I loved The Miz's they kind of just turned it, and you can do that with the Miz whenever you want to turn him into, hey, I'm not superstar. I'm not the guy messing around. So that kind of helped, look like Fatu get a bigger win here than just beating the goofball that is the Miz that time. Solo and his group, as you would imagine, pounced here, but Jimmy Uso made the save ultimately there. We also had a Damian Priest, Aleister Black promo, kind of both dark characters. We'll see what's around the corner for them. Then we had the Wyatt Six of Dexter Lumis and Joey Gacy take on Andrade and Rey Fenix for the tag belts in the main event here. Nikki Cross ultimately pulls the ref out of the ring to get a disqualification and save the belts for the Wyatt Six. Then all the tag teams come out to brawl, and Nick Aldis calls for a tables, ladders, and chairs match at SummerSlam. 6-man match, but I can only remember 5 of the tag teams. So there's Fraxium, DIY, Street Profits, Wyatts, Andrade, and Rey Fenix. And I can't even...
Machine Gun, right?
Yeah, Motor City Machine Guns, yeah. So again, the only problem here, and tables, ladders, and chairs, oh my, that's great.
Yeah.
But you start to kind of get confused about who's won these titles when they've been having all these tag team divisions going after each other, and how long these title reigns are. So unless they kind of do something special with the Wyatts, I don't know. It'll be an entertaining match. I don't know. I'm not all. I mean, Andrade and Rey Fenix could win it for the first time.
Yeah, it's the 6 same, that have been in it for like the past year and a half. And you're right. It's going to be an incredible match. I mean, tables, everything is to go there. But yeah, we'll have to see what kind of happens there. Because there's going to be a lot of people in the ring then at that one time.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think a lot of tables and ladders and chairs will be used throughout that. All right, thanks Augie for coming in and having some fun with me here tonight. This has been Nuclear Heat here on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll talk about wrestling next week when we get this involved. Of course, next week will be SummerSlam. We're talking during SummerSlam. So join us next week on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket at 9 o'clock. We'll see you for this evening.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers